everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenna, and today I thought I would share with you a few books that I would love to reread in 2017. So obviously I read all of these before, and these are just some books that I would absolutely love to dive back into and see how my feelings have changed about them, if at all. I have to admit I am nervous to read or reread this first one that I'm about to show you, because whenever I first read it, I absolutely loved it. So rereading kind of makes me nervous sometimes, because I'm just afraid that I won't like it as much as I did the first time, and I'd rather keep like those magical feelings inside that I felt the first time that I read it, but I also want to reread it again just to experience that story again. So I kind of have mixed feelings about rereading books sometimes. Let me know down below what your feelings are on rereading your favorites, and if your feelings have changed, you know, for your favorite books, if you've read them multiple times. So anyway, before I start rambling on about rereading books, let's just get into the ones that I would like to reread this year. So the first one that I would love to reread is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I absolutely love this modern library edition that I picked up at Barnes & Noble. It's wonderfully floppy. Look at that. I love floppy paperbacks. It's gorgeous, and I just fell in love with this story when I first read it in college. I just really admired Jane's character and how steadfast she seemed in midst of all of these trials that she went through. So I just really love this story, and I would love to reread it this year. I just find myself thinking about it all the time. I just love this story, and everything that she went through, she just really stayed strong and stuck with her own beliefs, even when she was tempted to do things that were just wrong, or what she thought was wrong. So I love her character, I love the story, and I would love to reread it. But like I said, I am just a teensy bit nervous because I don't want my feelings to change, at least not in a bad way. So let me know what your opinion is on rereading books that you absolutely love. So I would love to get to Jane Eyre sometime this year. The second book I read a few years ago, and I would like to reread it before the movie comes out. And I've heard that this is slightly controversial for some people, and yeah, I'm just gonna show it to you. It is The Shack by William Paul Young. I think this WM is short for William. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's short for. But so this is about a man whose daughter ends up going missing, and they find out that she's been murdered, and he receives a note in his mailbox with no return address, telling him to go to this mysterious, well, it's not really mysterious, this shack in the woods where it turns out the murder took place, the murder of his little girl. So it's just really intense and emotional and very, very deep as far as emotions go, and it basically illustrates the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. They are shown to you as three distinct people, and some people don't like the way that William Paul Young presented this. Some people do. I know that when I read it, I wasn't like I wouldn't call it, you know, when I first read it, I don't think I was fully a Christian yet. I was still kind of exploring. So when I read this, I found it extremely helpful when, you know, when kind of mulling over the concept of the Holy Trinity. Now I really like to reread it now that it's been several years later, and I find myself farther along in my faith and what I know about God now. I would really like to reread this and see how my opinion has changed and how correct I find this to be, if that makes sense. So I would just like to read it before the movie comes out. I do remember really liking it when I read it before. There were some parts of it that I kind of found a little iffy, if that makes sense. But I don't know, you just have to read it. If you're at all curious about it, I would definitely recommend it. I don't know if I would stamp my approval on it, if that makes sense, but I don't know, I want to reread it and see what I feel about it now, because I'm really going off of feelings that I had about it several years ago before I could kind of provide my current Christian perspective, if that makes sense. So anyway, I would like to reread this year before the movie comes out. So the next one, it kind of counts as a reread. I have a bind up here of the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I read The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and The Horse and His Boy. But I have yet to read the final 4 books. I always get the order mixed up. Anyway, I would like to reread the first 3 books that I read and then continue on with the series. So that counts as my on my reread list. So I would like to read the first 3 before I continue on. And yeah, I'm just excited to get into it. I really love this edition, how they're all bound up all together and Aslan's on the cover. I just think it's really pretty. The next book that I would like to reread, I've been saying that I wanted to reread this for a really long time, so I want to read all of the books in the series, and that is Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. This is the first book in the Sookie Stackhouse mystery series, which the show True Blood is based on. I watched the first season of True Blood when I was in high school, and I just remember being like, really intrigued by it, but also kind of creeped out because it was just very campy and just explicit in a lot of ways, and which I wasn't entirely comfortable with, but I really wanted to know what happened in the story, so I started reading the books. And I want to say that I think I read the first 4 or 5, probably 4. And I have the first 3 here. Anyway, I would like to reread this and then continue on with the rest of the series because I just really love the writing. I thought it was so fun, and it's very southern, and you could just hear Sookie's accent whenever you're reading this. I just really liked it. It was kind of cozy in a way. So yeah, I would really like to read Dead Until Dark at least this year, and then hopefully continue on with the rest of the series. The next 2, it would be cool if I reread them, but they're not that high of a priority. But it's funny, the last 3 books that I have here all have to do with vampires. And so the next book that I would like to reread is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I read this and The Vampire Lestat several years ago. I think I was in high school, and I absolutely fell in love with this world that she created and these personalities, these characters. I loved her writing. It was dark, it was haunting, it was romantic, and I just really enjoyed this story, and I'd love to reread it again. I want to say that this is one of those rare books that I think I've read at like 3 times. This is probably the book I've read the most throughout my reading life. I just really like it, but it's been a long time since I read it, so I'd like to reread it again and then again see how I like it now that I've read so many more books over the last couple of years. So there's that. And then the last book, again, it is a vampire book. I went through a vampire phase in like high school and early college, but this book I claimed it was my favorite book of all time for the longest time, but I've only read it once, and it's been a really long time. So I want to reread it again, and it's not really on the my top priority because I don't know, it's another one of those books that I'm a little bit nervous to reread, but it is Vlad, The Last Confession by C.C. Humphreys. So this basically tells the semi-true story, it is historical fiction, of Vlad the Impaler and how he came to be and his background and what the author imagines, or what the author imagined happened to him to make him into like this fearsome character that we've known throughout history. So I am intrigued to read it again. I know the first time that I read it, I really loved it, and I could not put it down. I know I think I've mentioned it once before in a video, but it was just absolutely captivating when I read it. I could not put this down. So yeah, I'd really like to read this, but we'll see if it happens this year. So those are all of the books that I would love to reread this year. Again, I don't reread books too often, but let me know if you've read any of these and what your thoughts are, and also what your thoughts are on rereading books that you absolutely love. Does it kind of make you a little bit nervous? I know that Kate Howe did a video recently where she was talking with, I forget her first name, but her channel is The Book Nester. I think her name is Robin, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, they did a video recently where they both kind of talked about rereading and just explored that concept and talked about their favorite books that they like to reread. And Robin, again, I'm not 100% sure if that's what her first name, she really brought up a lot of interesting points about rereading books, and it kind of made me think about the books that I would like to reread, and so that's why I'm doing this video. I was inspired by them to do this. So again, let me know what your thoughts are on rereading. I hope to see you soon in another video very, very soon, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye guys.